Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into something absolutely fascinating today. We're taking a really close look at a unique text by Deiform Celestial called How to Know Our Previous Lives. And what makes this material so incredibly captivating is its core premise. It argues that your everyday personality quirks, your little daily habits, and your natural instincts aren't just, random genetic traits. They are actually traceable clues from your past lives, spanning across 36 different dimensions of space. So let's just dive right into this and see how these cosmic connections actually map out.
Think about your own social circle for a second. Why is it that some of your friends are incredibly laid back and just naturally drawn to absolute freedom, while others genuinely crave strict order, tradition, and structure? Before we dig into the specific typologies from the text, take a quick second to reflect on your own seemingly random personality quirks, because according to the author, these differences aren't just psychological, they are entirely metaphysical. And that brings us to the foundational concept of this whole theory. The text bases everything on the idea of a holographic universe. Deiform Celestial writes that our universe is holographic, and so is our life. Basically, it's like your internal life information base is a giant cosmic hard drive containing hidden data passed down from all of your previous journeys across the ages. Now, this information is mostly concealed, but it reveals itself momentarily in your natural preferences and spontaneous reactions. By capturing these fleeting, everyday clues, the idea is that we can actually trace our cosmic pasts. Which leads to a really striking quote from the source material: "Mankind is a rabble. The mortal world is a tenement yard for all kinds of lives." I mean, what a blunt way to state the premise, right? The author is basically arguing that human nature seems so wildly diverse, with people often feeling like they are just worlds apart from one another, because we literally originate from drastically different dimensions. We might all look human on the outside right now, but internally, we are this chaotic mixing pot of entities from heaven, earth, the animal kingdom, and way beyond. All right, let's get into the specifics. Section 1, Traces of the Heavens: Gods, Buddhas, and Celestials. As we break these down, see if any of these resonate with you. According to the 36-dimensional space theory, even those who originated from the highest heaven worlds have distinct differences. If you possess what's called holographic order thinking, you supposedly originated from the side of the greatest creator, essentially a god. If your mind operates with formless thinking, the text says you came from the Elysium world as a Buddha. A supercelestial is identified by this deep inner knowledge that they can magically change a world. And a celestial being? Well, that's someone born to seek out joy, totally unbothered by boundaries, just effortlessly following their heart's desire. But even within these heavenly realms, there's a huge contrast. Take a look at these two specific origins. You have the 10,000-year world. People from here often dream of flying freely, they have absolutely zero fear of death, and they actually strongly dislike their life in the mortal world. Contrast that with the 1,000-year world. These folks are always looking for a way back home. They're benevolent, fun-loving, and they hate the restrictions of state and religion, yearning instead for a beautiful, utopian future. It's a fascinating difference, right? One completely rejects earthly life, while the other just yearns for a perfect, idealized version of it. But hey, not everyone comes from the heavens. Let's move on to Section 2, Echoes of the Animal Kingdom: Instincts, Appetites, and Roles. So here's where it gets really relatable. Your diet. The text draws a direct link between what you eat and your metaphysical origins. For example, if you get intense pleasure from eating meat, actually, more specifically, if you eat meat and have never felt a shred of empathy for the animal being slaughtered, your past life was that of a predatory carnivore. On the flip side, if you naturally prefer a vegetarian diet, you're generally timid, you hate getting hurt, and you love depending on social groups or religion, the text pegs your origin as a docile herbivore. Okay, this next one is literally one of my favorite juxtapositions in the whole text. Do you have an inherent burning desire to be a police officer? Are you super sensitive to theft and crime in society? Well, that reportedly points directly to a feline past. You were a cat. But if your innate desire is to be a soldier, to fiercely defend your territory, your land, and your home, that means you were a canine in a previous life, like a dog or a wolf. How wild is that? And there are several other highly specific animal traits to look out for. If you frequently dream of flying, but unlike the heavenly beings, you still feel deeply attached to the mortal world, you were likely a bird. If someone naturally leans toward taking, embezzling, or stealing, the text links that back to mice or rodents. And perhaps the most heartbreaking one, if a person's nature is to bear hardships silently. feeling entirely powerless and just abiding by whatever destiny throws at them, they originated from the livestock world, like a farm animal. Moving right along, we arrive at Section 3, Mortals, Spirits, and Devils, the Earthly and the Dark Realms. Let's start with the earthly origins. The text compares the sage or saint to the traditional mortal human. If you possess Taiji thinking, meaning you're super wise, highly gifted, and very influential, you're likely the reincarnation of a great historical sage. But if you find your deepest comfort in loving your nation, your culture, your family, and traditional family structures, you are simply a mortal human in your past life, just reincarnating right back into the human sphere. Now, venturing into the dark realms, the descriptions get incredibly specific. Those originating from the devil world are described as naturally aggressive, quick-thinking, and uniquely capable of deriving genuine pleasure from the pain of others. Then you have the goblin origin. These individuals apparently have an extraordinary charming bearing. They are incredibly endearing, but fundamentally, they are extremely selfish. Finally, the evil spirit origin applies to people who are clever with little tricks and are basically constantly waiting for an opportunity to seize someone else's love or property. Just a quick caveat here, the author clarifies that there are specific exceptions to this massive cycle of reincarnation. Life existing in the extreme dimensions, specifically the inflamed layer, the frozen layer, and the netherworld, do not generally enter the human world directly. Similarly, insects and plants belong to entirely separate cycles that bypass human reincarnation altogether, so no plant past lives to worry about here. So, what do we actually do with all this information? Let's pivot to Section 4. Mapping your evolution. Finding your coordinates. To truly map your evolution, the text provides a pretty straightforward 3-step method. Step 1, observe yourself closely and verify these traits repeatedly. It can't just be a passing mood, it has to be your deep-seated nature. Step 2 is super interesting. Look at your closest friends. This principle relies heavily on the idea that like attracts like. By examining the people you choose to hang out with, you might catch a reflection of your own past life shadows. And finally, Step 3. Once you find your starting coordinate, you can clearly determine the direction and ultimate destination of your life's evolution. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Finding out you have the cosmic soul of a literal rodent or a farm animal could totally ruffle some feathers. So the author includes a very clear grounding disclaimer. Do not get angry or overly excited. Whatever you were in the past, you are a human right now. And honestly, it even adds that if you think this whole 36-dimensional theory is total nonsense, you should just treat it as a fun game. It's a completely fascinating thought experiment to view the people around you in a different light. Which leaves us with one final, deeply provocative thought teased at the very end of the source material. If the universe truly is holographic, and our mundane, everyday habits are an active revelation of our past lives, what exactly are those habits predicting for your afterlife? Are you currently, right at this very moment, shaping the coordinates for your next jump across the dimensions? It's a mind-bending concept to ponder as you go about your day. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and for sure, keep questioning the universe around you.